We're here with Scott Crabtree, and Scott, in my field of the aging mind, there's a Super Bowl of aging researchers in the Alzheimer's and dementia field. And it's held every summer, every third week in July, and we just had our most recent one in Washington, D.C. Last year it was in Copenhagen, and it goes around the globe. We then digest and sift through all of the best stuff and look at the failures, plus look at those breakthroughs. We've got some that the students will be well aware of.
Great.
In your field, you told me that there is a biannual similar event that happens, and that happened this year. Tell us about what you found.
Excellent. I am always excited when the International Positive Psychology Association, also known as Science of Flourishing Association, so to speak, holds their World Congress, which was recently held at the end of June in Florida. And I was lucky enough to be able to attend. So I learned right from the cutting edge, as well as had some of the key themes reinforced. So let me start with a few of the key themes, some of which will relate to what we discussed earlier. Chris Peterson was a leading positive psychologist, and he really had a message about relationships again and the importance of relationships. He simply said, other people matter. And I must have heard that quote at least a dozen times. These are from the leading positive psychology researchers studying how we can flourish, how we can thrive, how we can increase our well-being and happiness. And a recurring theme was other people matter. So yes, Science of Happiness says a lot of your happiness comes from what you're choosing to think and do, but it's also about what's happening between you and other people. So other people matter. Another theme that kept coming up throughout the conference was strengths. This is not terribly new, but it continues to have new research, new writing, new ways of applying strengths. So very briefly, the conventional wisdom, what 60% of us believe according to surveys, is the key to success in life is fixing our weaknesses. What's wrong with us and how do we make it better? And I'm a big fan of traditional psychology, but that's the approach of traditional psychology. How are people broken or mentally ill, and how can we get them back to normal? The strengths movement focuses on what people do best. Let's see if we can eclipse those weaknesses and make them irrelevant by partnering with other people, for example. Can we focus on what we do best and what energizes us most? Because that tends to lead to flourishing and happiness. So lots of continued work on strengths.
Now, on strengths, that works well and is a model that could fit into the mature mind theory that looks on the asset-based mindset of aging. And until about 2005, the field of aging looked at the deficit mindset that if someone is going to be doing any intervention, it's on getting someone who has failed in something similar to your weaknesses, bring them back up to this level. And what Gene Cohen and his colleagues did was to say that's a deficit-based starting. If we know that there are assets there that could be your treasures, your resources, your strengths, why not nurture them and see if that's the attention, that's the direction to go? Is it similar to that?
I sure think so. I mean, let's take an example of a senior citizen who has tremendous strength in music, but not tremendous strength in chess. Somebody might say, oh, to develop your brain, let's teach you chess. Let's get you doing chess. It's like, well...
Or learn a new language.
Yeah, or learn a new language. Yeah, I don't want to is key. Where's the desire? And using strengths doesn't mean not growing. Using strengths can be continuing to learn and grow in your strengths at any age, at any talent level. So if a senior citizen had a strength for music, appreciating music, playing music, writing music, composing music, they can go from good to great or great to mastery in music. And you really hit on a key theme that came up at the conference. How much do you enjoy it? Barbara Fredrickson, again, leading researcher in positive psychology, she looked at a study she did recently. This is unpublished work, but she was sharing it at the conference, about meditation and mindfulness. She took a random group of people, randomly divided them into, or three actually. There was a waitlist control group And then 1/3 of the people were taught mindfulness of breathing meditation, and another were taught a form of mindfulness called loving kindness meditation. Without going into long details, loving kindness meditation nurtures a wonderful feeling of love in your heart. As cheesy as that may sound, it feels great when you do it. What she found, very cleverly by the way, by looking at the iPods and how often they had played certain tracks, what they found is the people who were taught loving kindness meditation did much more meditation even after the study because they enjoyed that meditation more. She said, just do it should be just enjoy it if you want to sustain a positive habit. So if you have a senior citizen who needs to be more active, let's say, trying to push something on them that they don't enjoy, like chess for this random made-up person, is just foolhardy. Find where they have strength, find where they have passion, and go with that. If they're going to enjoy playing music, get them playing more music. If they're going to enjoy conversations with other people, get them doing that. When we tap into our strengths, we're tapping into rich neural networks. Our strengths are our rich neural networks. Let's build from there, because we can have the biggest growth of all when we're building what's already strong. So as some people like to say in the strengths world, don't just always out of habit, don't fix what's wrong. Build what's strong.
And when you talk about the enjoy, just enjoy it, I think of that as the way the brain can continue to sustain itself is to have those moments of enjoyment that are just day after week after month after year.
Yes.
And if you think of the body analogy with physical exercise, I don't know who said it, but the best exercise is one you'll do.
Yes, exactly.
And then once you've done that and see some benefits, then you're going to want to do it again. And Fredrickson's after examination that was after the study was over is really interesting to me. I wasn't aware of this one until just now.
Yeah.
But because she's watching what actually wired or rewired the brain with that, I enjoy that. Think of whether it's serotonin, oxytocin, whatever that chemical that was the pleasure chemical that was learned during the trial. Then they didn't have to do it, but they enjoyed doing it. I go to the Baltimore Aging Study on volunteering, of giving back to someone else. And that one, in that study, as you know, once the study was over and they found that elders who read regularly, twice a week, to kids who needed to have reading lessons, just a one-on-one, that human contact, was so important that their health markers went up because they were doing it, they were getting there physically, they were emotionally there. But I think the more important was that once they had felt that joy, that giving back to a youngster who is now learning to read and bonded, they knocked on the door. Can't we do it some more?
Yes.
The study was over. Can't we do it some more? And so that became the experience core. And it goes on today with people who take the same model and say, we enjoy doing it so much, please don't take it away from us.
Yes,
so I think
exactly.
Fredrickson is one of the leaders and is really excited in her own field of where that just enjoy it's going. Keep going. What else came out of the conference?
So just a little bit to extend everything you just said, which is right on the money. Fredrickson also was saying, the more we prioritize that good feeling for ourselves, that happiness for ourselves, the more likely we are to choose an activity that brings us that happiness again. So she described this virtuous circle, this
say it again, virtuous
circle, not a vicious circle, not a downward spiral, but an upward spiral. So basically you choose an activity, playing an instrument, loving kindness meditation, reading books to children.
Whatever you could do to get in the flow.
Whatever it is that gets you in the flow and gets you some of those positive emotions. If you enjoy it, you're more likely to do it again, but especially if you've made a choice in your life to work on happiness or valuing happiness or savoring the happiness that comes. So if in general you think, well, I don't need to be happy, why does happiness matter? Then you might not say, well, I'm going to pick an activity that makes me happy. But if you decide, you know what? Happiness does matter. I deserve to feel good, and I know that happiness brings benefits, including resilience, health, creativity, productivity, and more. That prioritization of your own happiness makes you even more likely to say, I want to go do that again, I want to go do that workout,
the virtuous
play the
spiral.
music. Exactly. So prioritizing happiness and your own well-being in general helps feed that virtuous circle that starts with enjoying an activity in the first place and continues when you want to keep coming back for more, and it keeps feeding you, and it becomes self-reinforcing in a wonderful way.
Was the takeaway, one of the takeaways, it doesn't matter what that activity is, but it's got to be something that you choose. You have to select it.
I think that's such a great point, Roger. I think a lot of us turn to science or books or experts to say, well, tell me exactly what I should be doing to keep my brain active, or to prevent cognitive decline, or to be happier in life. And again, I think science can be a guide. Science cannot effectively tell individuals what to do because every individual is different. So what's the best activity you can do? The one that you want to do. That's healthy for you in some way. So however you're going to challenge your brain, however you're going to get your body moving, however you're going to eat right, get connected to other people, do that. If you enjoy connecting with other people through square dancing, then square dance. And if you enjoy connecting with other people by debating, then debate. I don't care what you do. I just want you to do anything that you'll enjoy, because it can lead to this virtuous circle of flourishing.
That is excellent. I'm going to end this segment and then we'll keep going, but I was interviewed by an Oregonian reporter years ago, and I was working with folks at Willamette View, and they did an article on this, the aerobics I was doing, and she talked about this new study she had read about learning a language, and that's good for you, and I was asking my opinion of that, and I said it's not what you do, it's that you do something you love to do.
Yes.
And I think that's where Fredrickson's Just Enjoy It is going to resonate. So thank you for adding that in there.
My pleasure. Thank you.